Okay, but you are going to need to edit some of this.
I don't wanna.
You're going to have to chop some of it.
All right, we're recording.
Okay, so now what?
I don't know.
How do we kick things off with this?
Well, we do need to get an intro eventually. Should
Yeah.
we? Do you want to do just like funny intro, shaky voice? Like welcome to the Tid Shaky Podcast on Unwind, where.
Well, I think you should kick it off. Why don't you kick it off?
Well,
I've lost
now
my
I'm
notes in
nervous.
Discord.
So you've
I've lost
lost
my
your
note.
notes?
I've lost my notes. I'm on the wrong screen.
Well.
Um, 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 um.
Welcome in to the podcast, where we have no idea what we're talking about today, but we're gonna figure it out on the fly. I almost think like eventually we should have an intro and maybe sections at the end where we talk about like our recommended game of the week or some sort of mini game or whatever, but for now we have none of that and we just wing it. No script, no something.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I guess ultimately we've been talking about doing this for a while, and we've been wanting to um share what goes on behind the scenes, maybe post stream in particular in the evenings. And I think go from there really, and the podcast will grow, and we'll make it definitely more official along the way. And this actually is probably a little bit of a continuation on from what we did on your stream when you were doing your 24-hour
Yeah, but you have
stream on
to
the
stop
front
being so
page.
like weird and rigid. I feel like as soon as you go into podcast mode, you get very like
How is this rigid? Have you
you're
seen
being
the pose I'm in at the moment?
serious. You sound all
Yeah, I am being serious.
no, but don't. That's the point. You're the
Okay,
silly, goofy, weird one.
okay. So how do you want me to be with this? I don't
Not.
know because I've got the weird thing is I've got no chat to bounce off of, so I can usually that kind of usually fills up a bit of the time, doesn't it?
You got to use your own
Um.
brain.
Anyway, listen, we hang out a lot offline and talk all sorts of shit, and we thought it'd be a good idea to put that on camera.
The
And
off-stream podcast.
yeah, well, we were going to call it the Offstream Podcast, and then we were going to
The
call it the
the
Offline
offline
Online
online.
Podcast, the podcast, and then we were going, and then we realised that every name that's ever been has been all names have been taken on this, so we've gone with the Unwind Online
Mhm.
Podcast
Which, other than not being able to
because
say it, I feel like it fits the vibe of what we want the what is this? What are we doing? The podcast?
podcast.
The vibes of the podcast, because we want it to be very much like as if you have just come off of stream and you're chilling and in like sweatpants and cozy clothes and things like that. And I think we in the future will probably have guests on the podcast and have different topics and things that we're talking about, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the plan. I think it'd be nice to bounce, some conversations off of people that we know. It's always interesting. Yeah, it's always. I don't know what people get up like. I think everyone has their things that they do when they get off stream. I know that I have like a little routine, probably pre-stream and post-stream. Um, and yeah, it's just kind of it takes me a while to switch off after stream. I sit there and I have to almost like decompress, and like my brain is like, you know what I do. I go around and I check everything,
You look at all
all the
stats and
stats.
you send
Yeah,
your messages, and
yeah.
I feel like we're like
I
opposite
almost
with that. I end stream and I either just power everything down immediately or I like have all my lurks up and I just walk off and I'm done. I'm just like I'm out of here.
but is there no part of you that's like
No.
I wanna kind of analyze this?
Nope. Not a single. If anything, it's the opposite. I'm like I don't want to. I'm walking away. I can't. My energy is gone. Also because it's either or. It's either like I obsess about numbers and it's something that ends up being a really big deal, or I don't look at them at all. But before we get too much into just talking about random shit, we should
Yeah.
probably introduce ourselves and do
Ye-
that whole part of it.
Mhm.
So, would
Your
you like
name.
me to
You
go
can go first.
first?
Yeah, you go first. Go on.
Introducing your hosts. Basically, Shaky and I have both been streaming on Twitch. I've been doing it for 3 years. You've been on for 5 or 6, right?
Yeah,
So
5 unofficially, 6 technically, but we'll say
we've
5.
been
I'm gonna say 5.
in the content creation game for a bit, and so there's a lot that we've talked about, and I think the podcast we want to talk about both like the mental health side of it and the things that go along with that, and then also streaming tips and the things that come along with streaming and all of that. But my channel, I started. It was one of those. I had no idea what Twitch was, had never been on before, didn't know anything about it. And my partner at the time was like, well, if you're going to be playing so many video games, I played League of Legends, you might as well stream it. So I started out doing that and just I did the whole shameless plug and just threw my link in league lobbies, and so some people would pop in there. So I ended up getting
Nice.
affiliate
I
in a
like a
week.
little. I love a little bit of shameless plugging. I'm all
The
for that.
posting,
But wait,
hey, come check out my stream, and then I think that is
I think
the
we've all
the
done
being
it.
a female was a little bit helpful in that area because then people would be like, oh, okay, I'll pop in here. And I had enough league friends that I got affiliate in a week, and then ended up leaving to travel immediately after. So then, which honestly was kind of cool because then I used that time to mostly like research Twitch and like visit other streamers and start to like build a community on Discord, but also chat with a lot of other communities and start my socials and do things. Like I was streaming a little bit while I was traveling, but it was doing the parts of stream outside of stream, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I did that for a while, and then June or July of 2022, I think was when I ended up just like going all in on it, and it's just been my like full-time thing since then.
So was
So
League your first stream then? Because I thought your first stream weren't you on holiday on the beach or something?
no, my very first stream was League of Legends, which I think I didn't have the whole like saving VOD thing turned on at the time. So I don't
Yeah.
have any of those like OG original
I
streams. I
don't know
have
if
a
you can.
few.
I don't know if you went before your affiliate. I don't know if it does it.
Oh, maybe you can't. I don't know. But I didn't.
I haven't
So
got any of
my
mine.
first couple ones I didn't have, but I do have like one or two of my really early streams. Maybe one of these days we'll have to like show some clips from
Oh,
our
I don't know. I hate
OG
it.
days of streaming.
I hate it. I hate it.
um
I hate old clips of myself. I need to go and delete all of my
oh, I
old
know,
clips
me
because I
too.
absolutely hate looking at myself. It makes
Just
me feel
some of
ill.
them are so bad. Well, you got to keep some of them because it's nice to see the progress and see how far you've come. But some of them for me too are just so cringy.
Yeah, but
But
then there's the whole the clip shout out.
oh, I know.
And I went
It's
into
fine. We both.
I went into a fellow streamer's stream the other day, and one of my favorite people on the platform, and no lie, 3 clips back to back were from like 2021, and I hated it so much.
They probably just kept doing it because they were like, "Oh, this is great."
Yeah.
More old school shaky. Yeah, but so League of Legends was my first game, and then I think I played through what's that Crow game that's very Dark Souls esque? Death's Door. I
Oh, Death's
played.
Door is great.
Yeah, I played through that. That was like
Yeah,
my
I streamed that as well.
first other than League game, and then from there, I was like, well, I don't want to be pigeonholed into being a like one game streamer. So that's why I started doing variety and then started doing like Elden Ring and things, and that's when I started building up a little bit more followers. Hold on. But what about you?
Nice.
Let's hear your
Wait,
intro.
so were you a Souls
Where's the intro?
fan
No, I had
to get into
so
Elden Ring, or did someone get you into it?
growing up in general, I played
Growing up in Channel, I lived the life that they
yeah,
live in Dark Souls.
growing up and video games. I mean, I've been into video games my entire life. I played Star Wars Pod Racing was probably my very first game ever that I
How
played on
old
the
were you when you played that? 'Cause
N64. I
okay.
don't remember. Well, I mean, I had a couple like computer games and things like that, and like Nokia, like the Nokia cell phone, and playing
I love that. The
what
way
the
you guys
Snake
say it, the way you guys say that brand.
Nokia. What do you call it?
Yeah. Nokia.
Ew, no, Nokia. Anyway,
That's the name of the brand. It's Nokia.
but playing Snake, and then played that, and then had a couple computer games and didn't play for a long time. RuneScape got me through high school. College had me fall into the League of Legends pit, as well as I was like a hardcore Halo Reach swap player for a very long time. And I played like
Yeah.
Call of Duty and a couple other FPS at the time. But I did like a lot of Halo, like LAN parties, playing Halo 2 and some like
Nice.
Super Smash Bros. And things like that. But I hadn't really. I don't know. I didn't really know about the world of like just variety gaming as a whole. So like Dark Souls games I hadn't heard of until I started streaming. So Elden Ring, when I played it on stream, was my first time I've kind of did any of the Souls stuff.
Nice.
But yeah, what were your first games? What got you started in streaming, etc. etc.
Do you know? I was sitting there on my PS4 and I was playing. I don't know what I was playing. I think I was playing Apex Legends.
Ooh,
And I think I'd just been on my phone or scrolling, and someone had said like there'd been a like video shared from like Twitch or something. I didn't really know what Twitch was. I hadn't been on it, and then I had a look at it, and I didn't have a PC at the time, but someone said there's a PS4 app, so I downloaded the app on PS4,
mm.
and I just started playing. I had no camera, I had no microphone, and I was using the PS4 Twitch app, which was really shit. It is a really shit app. It's really
I didn't even
bad.
know that you could do like you would start up the app
Yeah.
from your like you didn't even need a computer to stream. It was just from there.
No, because you
Oh,
do get
okay.
people. I mean, I think it's come away now in PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. I don't know.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
not streamed from those consoles, but yeah. And then I was like, well, I'll just start streaming it. I don't really know how to do anything or what to do. And honestly, my first month was like I had like one viewer, and then one person came in, and I didn't know them, but I got to know them. And then I
It's
was
probably
like, I didn't
exciting
really think
though,
anything of
right?
it.
You're
Well,
like,
I
I
was
have a
like, and then it got
chatter.
and then the viewer count would go up to 2, and I'd be like, oh shit, this is it, here we go, this is it, people are watching. And but I didn't really think anything of it, and I played a lot of Apex Legends, and I played a lot of the Dragon Ball Z fighting game, Fighter Z, and um, again, not the most entertaining games, I don't think personally, but I didn't really know anything about streaming in general. Um, and then I started going on Instagram and following. I was like, I'm going to follow some Twitch streamers just randomly, and
Yeah.
started following them. And then I got invited into a group by one person, and she had made a group of like 50 people on Instagram that were all like up and coming streamers.
I think mine was called the Sock Lounge or something. It was just like a group of
Can't remember
people
what
that
mine was
like,
called.
5, 10 viewers or so. It was like this little Instagram group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what we did then is we would kind of let each other know when we're going live, and then I started to get like 5 or 6 viewers. But this was like 3 months down the line. It took me 3 months to get affiliate,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
it was after
that's
that
not
point then.
unnatural at all. I think there's a lot of people where it takes
No,
even
but like
longer sometimes.
what I learned from it is that it's kind of almost best to learn about, because I didn't go into anyone else's streams, so I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
know that was all part of the get to know people, hang out, be in a community, be on Discord. I didn't use Discord, but then when I found out about Discord, I was like, well, moving forward, I want to create my community so that other streamers, when they want to go for it, don't have to go through the same kind of journey I did, because mine was
Hmm.
a mess and there was no guidance. Um, and yeah, I kind of did that for a little bit, and I only stream like 6 or 7 hours a month sometimes. I wasn't really focused on it.
Oh, so
I
not a
I
lot.
didn't see the appeal of
Yeah.
it. No. And that lasted for that whole 2019. I didn't really do much. If you look at
Hmm.
my stats, it's all like 10 hours a month max. And then obviously lockdown hit in 2020. And sitting there watching the TV, and the Prime Minister saying, moving forward, you can't leave the house, or you get furloughed from work. Furlough from work was the best thing that happened to me. That was the best thing, because it meant that in a cheeky way, I was getting paid 80% of my salary, but I wasn't allowed to go into work.
Yeah.
And what I did with my day was very much, apart from once a week when they were like, let's have a Teams call, and will let
Yeah.
you know if the business is still alive or not. So I
You
couldn't
didn't really
stream
have
on
to
then.
do a whole lot. You just got to
But
play
no,
games.
but then I that literally the first day of furlough, I said I'm going to stream. I'm going to stream every
Mhm.
day, and Monday to Friday I streamed, and I look
You did
back at my
every day.
stats.
You took weekends
Yeah,
off.
pretty much every day because I didn't have at the time. My eldest son was only with me occasionally, and we didn't have my youngest son, so I
Mhm.
had a lot more free time. Um, and then and yeah, like I look back on the stats at some of the streams that I was doing, and I looked at it, and I would go live at midday, stream until about 8 o'clock in the evening, go off to probably have some dinner and relax a bit, and then go back on at 10 o'clock
Oh,
at
and then get
night, and
back
then
on.
stream a few more
So
hours.
like,
Yeah,
so when
there
you mean
was
you stream every
like
day,
double
you mean
streams.
all day,
Yeah, that was
all
it.
day every day.
And that was just at that point I was just playing games that I enjoyed. So it was like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of World of Warcraft, which is, you said about RuneScape. WoW was my thing.
Mm.
I, I'm, I dropped out of university because of World of Warcraft, effectively.
Oh
Uh,
no,
yeah.
you're one of
So
those.
yeah, I went to university in 2004 to study computer game software development. That was my thing, and then 3 months later, this game called World of Warcraft came out. I was a big fan of Warcraft already because I'd played Warcraft 3. That was quite a big game online.
Mhm.
And then this game came out, and I started not turning up to my lessons and courses, and then I got letters
You
sent to me
know life.
saying,
Wow. Okay.
yeah,
Wow. Wow.
yeah, that was literally it. And then I came home. I came home like after the first year, and I was like, yeah, it just didn't work out. I just don't want to. I don't want to study anymore. And then I stayed at home for like a year after that, and just played World of Warcraft religiously for I put thousands of
So
hours
did
in.
you mostly stream WoW at the beginning too then? Or was
I did a little bit of WoW, but I just didn't feel people. You know how
yeah.
sometimes you feel some games are like they resonate with your community, and other ones don't.
Yeah, it's
It's
interesting too
annoying.
because I do think it depends on the streamer, right? Like there's tons of super successful WoW streamers, right? And but it's like your people find certain games more or less interesting for you to play. And
Yeah, I think
it's hard
I
to
think
find
because I
yourself into
started
that niche.
I think because I started to play games like Assassin's Creed games and other big story games,
Yeah.
that's where I started to get a bulk of the following.
I feel like both of
And then
us are
when I
kind of in
tried to
that
do
same boat. Like we're kind of in that
I want to do World of Warcraft so
RPG.
much because I could
I
spend hours a day
I
playing that
mean
game, but no
maybe
one would want to
that's
watch that.
maybe that's the it's time. It's
No, because
the
I
shaky
just
WoW
don't think
era.
it's. I don't think that's. I actually don't want to. I don't think that's the trajectory I want things to go anyway.
That's fair.
But anyway, this is where we are. We're now here. 5 years. It's a big part of life. To think that I started this in 2019,
Ugh.
2020, and we're in 2025 now
Yeah.
is huge. And yeah, I mean, what did like for you? You mentioned that you. When did you decide to go like full on like at it? When you were like actually, there's something here.
Um
What was the turning point for you on that?
kind of immediately actually. Well, so for
Really?
me, oh, hello. Ow. Sorry, doggo's doing his hourly
It's all right.
check-in. Hello.
Mine's asleep
Um
over there.
I always knew I kind of didn't want to do the traditional 9 to 5. I I ended up going to school, was playing a lot of RuneScape stuff. Didn't drop out, but I did get an art major because nothing else was fun. I wanted to go to school and have fun and do something I enjoyed. And so I like my first year I was undeclared as I was just taking a bunch of random classes and trying different things.
Yeah.
And then and I thought about doing a lot of different things, like something in the medical field and like being a nurse or doing EMT, or I kind of wanted to be an architect at one point. There was just so many different things. I was like, maybe this, maybe that. And then I ended up taking a couple art classes and they were just really fun. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be an art major because I'm gonna dump all this money into school. And obviously you have to take all the like extra courses. So I'm an art
Yeah.
major. I have a bachelor's of fine arts with a concentration in photography.
There you
And then I
go.
have a minor in information science and technology and another one in business. So I did a lot of just
You got
general
some.
random classes.
Yeah,
You
you got
what?
some merit. That's awesome. So,
I'm
okay,
smart.
so
And
here's a question. Here's
I
a
also
question for you.
graduated
When
cum
was
laude. Just FYI, I was just so
really
smart.
impressive? When what was the last job you had before streaming?
Well, so that's I'm getting there. I'm getting there. You know, we both talk a lot.
Okay. All right.
So
I
I
mean, I didn't
graduated with an
really
art
introduce.
major.
My name's Shaky, by the way. Welcome in. I mean, you can see the title down here.
Did
This
you
is
not say
Tiz.
your
My
name?
name is Shaky.
Did
I don't
I
think I
think I
did. No,
did? No, maybe I didn't.
but I think it doesn't really matter. To be fair, I mean, it's
It's
pretty
fine.
obvious, isn't
We'll
it?
get it.
From
We'll
the
get an
down
intro
here,
as we go. It'll be like the
yeah,
Unwind
yeah,
Online with Tiz and Shaky, blah blah blah.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
anyway, yeah, graduated with the art major. Ended up going into the field. I like worked for a photographer for a while. Um, what else did I do at the time? I did a bunch of random things. So like I was hostessing and waitressing, and then worked for a photographer for a little bit, like in his studio, making a lot of like the products, not doing the photo side of it. And it just none of it was fun. So I ended up saving up a bit, and I left to travel. That was like my first kind of trip. I went to Thailand for a little bit, and then came back and was like, well, I just need to make money to travel, because all I like doing is traveling at this
Yeah.
point. So anything that I can do to get money. So I think I came back and I waitressed, or I hostessed and stuff for a little bit, got enough money, and then went to Europe for a little bit, and then came back and then was like, all right, well, I need to get something else. I think that's when I did kickboxing instructing, and that was like that might have been the longest job that I've ever held for almost like 2 years. Saved up enough, and then went and spent a year in Asia, and then came back and did, while I was in Asia, I got my yoga teaching certification and my health and life coach certification. And then while I was doing that, I started a business doing website development and had some photography clients. So I kind of like, that was when I started doing my own business, but it was kind of just like my umbrella business that encompassed all the random things I was doing. And
Yeah.
then when I came back, it was kind of right before COVID, and I ended up working at a yoga studio. It was kind of an accident, actually. Like I saw that they were
Your life
hiring.
is just like so
Oh, it really
fascinating.
is.
Like
It really
it's
is.
just everything. Yeah.
I came back and I wanted to do yoga at a studio for free, and I saw that they were hiring like cleaners. And then I went and they were like, "Oh, well, we're actually hiring teachers." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, I can teach." And so I did a audition. That's what they called it at the time. Taught for a little bit and then got a spot. So I got free yoga as a teacher as well. So which was my only goal for that. So I taught yoga for a bit there, which helped me get a job at another gym in town. And then I started teaching there as well and doing just front desk stuff. So I did that till COVID. Everything shut down. So I taught classes online for a bit. Had a couple website design clients and stuff still there. And then that's as soon as I could. I was supposed to leave on a trip. I don't remember where I was supposed to go, but the day after COVID, like lockdown hit. So I ended up having to postpone that trip and
Right.
went on it later. I did a whole like South America thing, and that's what I was doing when I very first started streaming. And so that was kind of like, that's kind of how it all rolled into it, where like basically my life's thing has always just been like, I enjoy traveling and I want to explore life, but I don't want to be stuck in a 9 to 5. So, like, what can I do? What possibly can I do anything else other than that? And so that is all of my little jobs. And then so
I
for
think
me, streaming was just like, oh, I can make money doing this. Cool.
yeah.
Let's do this. And then after the first couple months, I started to make enough that I was like, okay, maybe this is actually something I could do as a living. And so yeah, so pretty much I already was in the mindset of like, just give me any job I can make money at.
I think it sounds really freeing though. Like the fact is, like, we're in an era where there's so many ways to make careers and have things now, and not
Hmm.
being restricted to anything, not being tied down to anything, not having the 9 to 5, like you say, would just be oh, amazing, honestly.
Well,
So
and that was just
I'm
kind of my
envious. I'm
thought, is
envious.
like,
The traveling as well.
yeah,
Like, it's just so cool. You know.
which obviously is hard if you have kids and stuff. And I know that that's
Yeah,
been your
I
big
think
thing.
it's hindsight is a great thing, as they say. I think.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I think. The people that you're around, the crowds that you hang out with, the people that you meet, the people that you get with, people that you end up being in a relationship with, can often have impacts on
Oh, totally.
your trajectory, shall we say?
Hmm.
And in hindsight, would I have waited longer? Possibly. Would I have done more traveling? Absolutely. Would have had a bit more freedom? Yes.
Yeah.
However, obviously, I wouldn't change my kids for the world. But yeah, it's one of those things where I wish I'd been a little bit more. I'd done a little bit more for me first.
Yeah, I feel like
So
I'm almost like the opposite kind of person too, which has got me in trouble throughout my life. Like my sister is more that kind of person too. Like she has kids now and is always like, "Well, why don't you call me more? Why don't you do this?" And I'm like, "I'm just floating around doing my thing. Like I'm happy
yeah, and
to
fair
connect,
play to
but
you as well. You know, fair play. Yeah, do it.
but yeah,
Do it for as
that's
long as you
been
can. Really, that's what I say.
yeah, and well, and I think that's kind of the thing, and I'm sure we'll have more discussions about this as we find actual specific topics we're talking about in the podcast and not just winging random
Well, I
things.
think this is no, but I think this is more just to kind of settle everyone in and just to for us to have a chat and what we would usually chat about.
Yeah, just get to know us. But yeah, I do
Yeah,
think we do kind of get stuck in this idea of what people think is expected of you. Whether it's like I
yeah.
think a lot of society, it's you find somebody, you get married, you have a house and a job and kids and that kind of thing, and that
Mm,
just was never something that appealed to me. And I think for a long time I tried it on a little bit. Like I thought about it and was like, oh well, maybe that's something that I want. And it's interesting because the older I get, the less I think I want that. Like I'm now that like my sister like
yeah,
has my nephew and stuff, and I get to live a little bit vicariously through her. I'm like, I don't really need to have kids. Like I enjoy traveling. I enjoy being a big kid myself and just playing video games for a living. So why
I'm
do I
jealous.
have to do what
yeah,
everyone else says you should do, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's always been this. There's like because I've got some family members. I think what it is. There's like one side of my family was very traditional
mm,
minded, and it was like I have a big family in Canada. Like it is massive family. I've got like three uncles and two aunties, and then they all had children. And I've got about 14 cousins in Canada, and then they've all had kids, and it's
damn.
just a really big family. And a lot of
Yeah.
them, there's like one. All it takes is like one person to set the bar. Like this cousin has like is graduated and has got a
Well, they
master's
have
and
two
all
kids
of this
already, so
and they've got two kids in the house and
yeah.
and this kind of thing. And my cousins, loads of them are doing so well, and then I'm one of the youngest in that group, and it was like go to university and get a good job and settle down and find someone and have kids, and that was already kind of drilled into me,
Yeah.
and it doesn't need to be anymore, and it shouldn't be, people should be able to live how they want to live. And I've met so many people that, especially through streaming, that are like, yep, don't want to have kids, don't need to, not worried about getting married, don't
Yeah.
even need to buy a house really, and just, I'll be okay
Not
just renting.
fussed.
No, and I kind of, there's part of me that wishes that was more of a choice for me. Not necessarily
Yeah.
choice, just more something I thought would be okay, and I wouldn't be like viewed differently from the rest of my family.
I mean, that totally makes sense though too, because I do think a lot of it is just how we're
Yeah,
raised, right? And like what you're surrounded with, and if your parents have a traditional view and that's kind of what they went through. I think I was lucky enough to like my parents were very much supportive of like we support you in whatever you want to do. And growing up, it was like, okay, you have to do an instrument and you have to do a sport and you have to like try these things, but like you get to choose what you want to do. And I think that was actually really helpful for me growing up because then it was like, okay, like I'm picking all these things that I want to do, and I think that developed into like later in life feeling like I had more choice. Whereas kind of like you're saying, I think if you grow up thinking that you need just this one way, then that's the only way that there is, right? Like you wouldn't even
well, this is it. I think the thing is, I think it was purely just thinking, like,
yeah,
because my mum and dad have always been very supportive of me anyway. And my mum is a very artistic person. My mum was a
artistic, right?
dancer. Yeah.
Didn't know if
What
you
did I
said
say?
artistic or autistic, so I was like, wait,
No, artistic,
artistic,
not
okay.
autistic.
I can't
A
tell
very
with your
arty
accent
person.
sometime. I
No,
was
a
like, wait,
very
I'm
arty
just
person. She is.
either way, it's okay. I was just trying to clarify.
So my mum is big into her kind of her performing arts and her art, actual
Yeah, yeah.
painting art as well. But she was a dancer for the first 30, 40 years of her life.
Dang.
And she used
Like
to
ballet
tour around
dancing?
Europe as part of a like a well, all sorts of it. It was like ballet, there was ballroom dancing, there was also like free interpretive dancing, that sort of thing.
Oh, cool.
Um, and she used to tour around Europe a lot. And she was always very much, like I'd come home and she'd be doing all of her she'd be learning all of her she'd be doing all of her dance because she was a dance teacher as well. So I'd come home and there'd always be music in the house and she'd always be doing her dance routines and everything. That's the reason I like dance so much.
I
I
was just
love
about to say,
dance.
all
And
this makes me think
yeah,
of though is that
this
GIF
is where it
dance
all comes from.
video of you.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
mean,
I'm like,
it
oh,
didn't, it
okay,
didn't,
okay.
it didn't follow down, but very well. Let's say because she did try to get me
Hey,
into
as
like I
long as
used
you
to.
enjoy it, that's what matters.
So I used to stand at the front of her class with her, and I had my own little line dancing shoes and my own little tap dancing shoes. She used to do a lot of tap dancing,
Yeah,
so I used to do tap dancing when I was younger, but I haven't done that in a long time.
yeah.
And if again, I could have probably stayed with dancing. I could have probably stayed with music because me and you both, as we found
Hmm.
out, both used to play the violin.
Yeah.
I could have. I could have stuck with that, and I didn't. And no one was telling me not to. That was more just, I think, me being a bit lazy and wanting to play my PS2 instead.
Well, and
More.
as life changes, it's like you find more things, right? Like
Yeah,
it's almost like you find things that replace it, so it's hard. And
yeah.
I do think we spend a lot of our time kind of saying that we're like, oh, we could have done this, but and I do think that it's never too late though either. Like maybe if you want to get
No,
back into violin or music,
I don't
why
know.
not?
I don't know about the dancing, but the
Why not?
instruments
Go take
instruments
some
you can play at
dancing
any age.
lessons. You definitely,
But
judging by that
no,
video, you
I
might
think my
need.
own style of dancing is at the pinnacle of where it needs to be right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
We
but
should
no,
just do an
again,
overlay of that dance video right now.
it's
Just
well, you can edit that in afterwards if
just
you
like
want. If
right
you
in the
want to add
middle
that in,
here,
you
just
can. Yeah, yeah.
dancing, wiggling,
Just on
shaky.
repeat.
Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it was the whole idea that I had to do some. I guess more from my dad's side rather than my mum's side because my mum,
Yeah.
yeah, like my mum was into the arts. Also, my uncle who passed away the year before last he was an actor and a director. Um, and he passed away unfortunately way and it just health complications, but
I'm sorry.
he's had an award named after him at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is a really big festival in Scotland for
Mm-hmm.
up and coming kind of art and theatre work and that sort of thing. So there's a very very arty side on my mum's side, but my dad's side was very much you know office work, corporate,
Yeah.
progress, all that, family, etc., etc. Or you'd be seen as the. And again, Dad didn't say this, but I just felt it was there, and it was like, what
Yeah.
are you going to
That's.
do? What career path you have? You've dropped out of university. What are you going to do? And I was like, oh, I don't want
I
to
mean,
stay
there's
at home
always
and play
that kind
World of
of like
Warcraft. Well, I mean,
unspoken pressure, right? If
yeah. So there was
if
that,
you
and
were
then
to like
do
if
you
you
know
were
what
to
it
do it all
is?
again, do you have something else that you would have done instead? Or like would you have stuck with game design or do you think you would have been like
Yeah. So I would have either stuck with games design or I would have pursued something completely different. That I would love to. There's two things that I
yeah.
really would happily go to university to study,
Mhm.
and that would be archaeology because I'd
Interesting.
love to study archaeology and
Because of
forensics, as in like,
dinosaurs?
well, no, just because of
No.
anything historical, especially
No.
yeah, yeah, but like
Yeah, yeah.
or forensics to go into like forensic
Ooh,
science.
I actually thought about that too. That'd be so cool.
Mm,
Forensic
yeah,
science is
I'd love to
really
do that,
interesting.
but
I actually
I
forgot that's
just
you're uncovering hidden memories. That was something
yeah,
that I considered for a
that's
while
what
and
that's what I do. Do you know what I think it is though? Genuinely, I think I'm ever so slightly not too old. I kind of wish that Twitch had been more of a thing 15, 20 years ago.
well, I mean,
I know it was
or that we had actually
I know it
started
was
streaming early enough and we
yeah,
don't feel like the
I know it was just in TV before it came Twitch TV.
yeah.
But what I mean is if Twitch had been available, like some people who I know or in our community or streamers I know are in their early 20s.
Yeah. I mean, or if we had even started when we were younger too, because I think Twitch,
Yeah.
I don't actually know how many years it's been around now at this point, but if we had started when it first started, right? Like
Yeah.
we would have been
Yeah, I mean, I can't.
We would have been younger then.
It's. I mean, it sounds like the old
And
complaining about the
for
young, and it
anybody
probably
listening,
is
we are
just
both
that
in our
now.
30s.
I mean,
Jakey's not 30 for too much longer though. And I just
a little while longer.
keep rubbing that in. Wait, 38, right?
Yeah, at the moment.
30. We part of
So
why I think Shaky and I are such good friends too, and why we decided to do this podcast is we found each other's communities on Twitch, and then we just kind of kept finding that we had more and more things in common. Both of our birthdays are in May. Like, we used to play violin. We like the I don't know what other random shit.
we're stubborn
There was
as
just
fuck.
we're both very stubborn and very competitive. There's been a lot of
We have
things.
just we've just spent 3 hours on a video game. We didn't really get anywhere on it.
We beat
There'll
the
be
first part.
no, you guys will see when we eventually drop a video for it.
Eventually, because we're not
Um,
going to give up, right? Yeah, we
no,
just ran the same part of this thing over and over and over and over and over again, and so it means
yep.
we are really good gaming friends, and so we were like, well, might as well start this podcast as well.
Yeah, we do share a lot, and we often just rant and moan at each other.
Well, we like to say that we're different
Whilst
side, like on Twitch as well. Shaky's a little bit more of the like chaotic side. My
no, no,
stream
no, no,
tends
you
to be a little
can't
bit more of
do
the
this
cozy
'cause
side.
we've just
It's
had a
true
conversation.
though.
No, we've just had a conversation about you becoming more sussy over the
Listen,
time, and
I blame you and your community.
I mean, there's no comment from me
We
on that.
were
That's my
perfect little just cozy community.
no,
Just a bunch of little
no, come on,
angels.
no, no, I don't believe that at all.
The,
I know a lot
the
of your
Sassy
community
Tiz
now. I
has
know
been
exactly what they're like.
making more of an appearance. No, but in my channel they're chill. They know they used to they knew the rules. It's getting less that way.
Anyway, what did you? What were we even talking? Yeah, we're
Twitch
both in
and
our
starting
30s.
and being old and how
I
you
think
just
we
wished
just
you
we
would.
I think we have a lot in common. I think it was fortunate that I think it was through Joe Joy,
Yeah,
who a
yeah.
lot of us know, that we connected, which was great. And yeah, I think I think we've definitely been able to help each other a lot over the last year and a bit or so.
Well, and I think a
And
big part of
just
it too is streaming is such a I don't know the good word for it. It's a very community aspect in a lot of ways, right? Like, you have to if you want to be successful on Twitch, I feel like you do have to kind of be part of the community. Like, you support other streamers and other people in the community support you, and it's kind of this symbiotic
yeah,
relationship and you all grow together. But I also do feel like streaming can feel super super isolating. Like,
oh,
we're all kind
massively,
of in the same journey together, but for whatever reason it does the who you are on camera is not always the way that you feel, I think. Like yeah, I know both of our channels are very like authentic and we do talk about our thoughts and feelings a lot, but also the amount of like imposter syndrome and comparison that I have and things like that. It's like, if I were to talk about that every stream, y'all would get sick of me, right? So I think you try not to bring that energy to stream. Like, we prefer to bring entertaining, like high energy kind of content or cozy content or whatever it is, and it can still feel isolating in a lot of ways. So I've it's been nice having you as a friend too, because then I feel like it doesn't feel as much that way. Like, we can always talk about all the stuff that's been going on stream, and you kind of have more support with that, which is also why we started a stream team with a lot of streamers that we feel like are all kind of like the same kind of energy and stuff, and it's been really nice
mm,
having that group. It feels like everybody kind of has the same goals and the same interests, and we all
yeah,
know that we have each other's backs and stuff, because streaming
yeah.
can
I
be
think
really lonely, I
really
guess.
can. It really can. So it's nice, and I think there's it's early days for the team, so there's going to be more to come, and
Hmm.
I imagine the team will probably grow in the future as well. But yeah, it's nice to just I think, and don't get me wrong, because we'll have people watching this. There's so many great people that I've met over Twitch, and I feel very fortunate to call myself really good friends with with a handful of people, yourself included. Um, but it's sometimes where you are in your streaming career you sometimes find these connections along the way that you might not have that they might not have been as impactful if you because you might have been just in when we met we were both in very similar positions with our
You both,
with our
sorry,
community
sorry to interrupt you,
sizes.
but both you and me do this thing sometimes where we start a sentence and then we think of another way to start a sentence and then we get distracted by a thought. So it's like
Yeah,
it reminds me of that like little meme of that kid that's like when you when you and
when
then when
you think
you
of something and you yeah, that's me. That's actually
there's
me. That was
sometimes
actually
where
me.
we do that a lot and it just makes me laugh where I'm like where are we going with this?
What
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
saying is, yeah,
Continue.
I'm saying like we've obviously built this friendship, but like it's not that I don't because I can. There's I've got a group, a handful of people that I spend a lot of time talking with, but it's like you all share different. They're all kind of different friendships in
Yeah,
certain
yeah.
different ways, and like me and you, with our communities are similar sizes, and some of the things we go through, some of the challenges we face, some of the things we laugh about are very similar. And then it's kind of just bounced off of there, and I think it's just been such a big coincidence that we do have a lot in common, and it's all just kind of rolled off from there. But yeah, it can feel very isolating, so isolating, especially when you've come off a stream and you've just when you've just stopped the stream
Mhm.
and all the lights go off, and then everyone gets sent off to another streamer, and it's at that moment where it can feel really, it just feels really lonely sometimes.
I think
Um,
that's a lot of times when
so
like
we
that self-doubt creeps in or the like
yeah
you see the numbers and you realize your stream didn't go as well as you thought it had or like you think
no.
about which people you haven't seen in a while or like there ends up being a lot of pieces to it that kind of can hit you all at once.
Mhm.
And
And
so
for me, like I finish my stream at like stupid o'clock, so I finish at like 1 o'clock in the morning. So my brain,
yeah.
it's never a good time to start over analyzing things, but I do anyway. And a lot of people have gone to bed, or I don't really want to interrupt anyone. So having that space to talk to you and talk to people be it in the team or my friends is quite critical, I think,
Mhm.
because it's such a weird thing streaming is because it's like it's a job, but it's still such a young job
Yeah.
in reflection because I'm looking at it here. So Justin TV started in 2005 and then it became Twitch in 2011. So Twitch
Okay.
as a site is not even 14 years old now. It's just
Oh
coming up to
wow.
14 years old. But like there's no we don't have a boss. We don't have
Mhm.
performance. We don't have like are we performing, are we underperforming? We don't have anyone to
Well,
we
we
don't get
do,
promotions.
and
We
it's
don't
our own
yeah.
brain, and our own brains are probably 10 times worse than an actual boss would be. So then it ends up being and I do think that like maybe not for everybody, but I think to be really successful in streaming, you kind of do have to think about it all of the time. I don't know if you're that way, but like I spend even when I'm
All the
not streaming or
time.
the days I'm not streaming, I'm still thinking about like, oh, did I do this in Discord and what am I going to stream next and I wonder how this person's doing or like I'm constantly thinking about
Yeah.
like there's never a rest. It's not like a job that you go home and you're like, "Oh, I clocked out and I'm good and I don't have to think about this anymore." It's like you
You just think
streaming you
about it all the
never
time. It's
turn off.
just there. No,
Yeah.
you never turn off from it,
No.
and it's hard because I kind of want to, but I also don't want to. But I
Yeah,
do in a
yeah.
way.
Well, it would be nice to like when you
It's just
actually,
weird.
that you go live and then you can, ungo live. What is it called? End stream. And then actually just kind of leave it. And that's what I've been trying to get a little bit better at. And I think that's honestly that's a
You've
big
been doing
reason
better
why
than me.
we're wanting to start this podcast is to, you
Hmm.
know, share about streamer thoughts to let people know that if you have these thoughts too that you are not as alone and that's why it's this the Unwind Online is that we are obviously online doing a podcast, but that there's a way to like unwind and we can just shoot the shit and chat about whatever and that it can be a very kind of relaxing time and a time to make other people not feel as alone, whether it's through the streaming journey or other areas of life. I think we're going to cover a lot of like mindset topics and other things as well. Uh, but yeah, I mean, like I've been trying to practice that. Like now, this is the first time in my
Yeah,
streaming career that I've had a streaming room specifically that is not like in my bedroom or right. So like
so jealous of
I'm
you.
trying to make it that like when I leave this door, that this is the stream, and then I go and I live my life and I try to do other things and not obsess about all of this stuff all of the time.
I wonder if that makes a difference. Because you can. It is a separate room. I don't have that, and
So far, not so
I
good, but
might.
like I'm working on
I
it.
I might do in 3-4 months'
Yeah, yeah.
time, which would be great. But like, that's my living room over there. There's a sofa and there's a seat there, and there's my dog lying on the sofa over there. There's a TV there. There's kids' toys there,
Yeah.
and it's not. I don't want to always think about streaming, but I do because I love it so much. But
Yeah.
I think I've invested too much time in it now to not think about it. I don't know.
Sorry, it's
Bless
allergy
you.
season.
I don't know. It's so weird. But yeah, I mean, going back to what you were saying about like this podcast and part of the reason for doing it and people not being alone in their thoughts and that. And like you say, shooting the shit and also just I think me and you have been through it. We know what it's like to have a good day and a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
And there's both of them in equal measure, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And I genuinely feel that talking to someone is the best way to keep going and keep your chin up because I think we've all thought about like packing it in at
Yeah.
times and been like, yeah, I'm done with this. Um, because for instance, like what me and you do, like sometimes we'll just message each other and we'll say like, "How's the stream?" and everyone will be like, "Shit," and we'll be like, "Why is it shit?" And it's like, "I want to talk about it." And you're like, "Okay, well, chin up. It'll be better tomorrow." And then it's almost just kind of digging each other out of the shit when we're feeling shit, you know.
Yeah. Well, and
Um,
I think going into it because we are starting to get towards the end. I feel like we're gonna try to keep these podcast episodes to like an hour or under, like 45 minutes to an hour. And so as we're getting
yeah,
close to that, I think this is kind of a good topic to be talking about because we can kind of express what our intentions for what this is gonna look like. And I think both of us have kind of talked about that a lot already. Um, it's kind of, I mean, obviously we both want to show up. Oh, doggo. We both want to show up in, not done up for. I mean, maybe we'll have these after we come off a stream sometimes, but normally I think Shaky and I are both going to be like, all right, sweatshirt, sweatpants, like haven't washed my hair in a
yeah. I've
while,
got my
and
sweatpants on at the moment. Yeah.
no makeup, kind of just being friends having a chat, and that we invite
She said I wasn't. She
viewers.
said I wasn't allowed to do my hair. I was like, I
Well,
need to
yeah,
sort my
because
hair.
it's
And she
so
was like,
much.
no, it's fine.
I mean, I didn't either. So, but so that it's almost like the viewers get to be friends too, and in the future too, we can have people comment if they have specific topics that you want us to talk about, or. But I don't know. I don't know if you have something else as far as like what our intention is behind what we want the podcast to be, or ideas about it. But
I think
it's
it's
kind
all.
of where I'm coming
I
from.
think it's. I think for me, it's. I want people to see a little bit behind the scenes and what it's like and the emotions we go through. And if you're thinking of streaming, um, what we've lived and what we've experienced through streaming, or if you're
Yeah.
already on your streaming journey, like we can. I mean, the idea is, this will be a shared YouTube channel we have, but we're also going to have socials. But we'll open up comments on the YouTube channel if people want to say like what they want us to talk about or any challenges we've been through and how did we get through those.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely streamer help, but I think also getting people on, like you say, guests, streamers, that we know,
Mm-hmm.
that would be open to coming in and just having a cozy, chilled chat with us, no filters, anything like that, just so they can share their thoughts. Because I think we always are. I think I'm always learning. I think we're always learning from each other as to what
Yeah.
works and what doesn't on streaming. And then yeah, so I guess really, we don't want it. Although it's called the Online podcast, doesn't necessarily need to just be about streaming. It can evolve from that. And I
And
think a
I
lot of
think that's why we
podcasts
named it
do.
that
I
specifically,
think
is
they
because
do
we wanted
evolve.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there's so much more outside of
And I
streaming as
do
well.
think
But
it's funny
you
because,
know,
like, as we're chatting,
topics, trivia.
when we're doing like the kind of structured stuff of like bouncing back and forth, I think as we get more comfortable with this too, that maybe there's some that are about more serious topics, and we get down in the nitty gritty of like the way that our brains are working and things like that. But that also we want some that are going to be lighthearted and fun and talk about lots of different things. And so I think it'll just kind of depend on where our moods are at during the week. And I do like kind of what you were saying as far as like no scripts, no filters. Like we're just showing up as two content creators talking about whatever is on the mind that week, I
Mhm.
guess.
I think that the more we can, the more we can keep this kind of organic and just not have it too regimented, the better
Hmm.
for it. Really, we'll try and
I
draw
think
background to a topic, but you know how much I can talk and how much how much I move away from
I
things,
was gonna
and
say I
then
do want
I
to have
completely
like
forgot.
we're gonna have an intro, like a hey, this is what we're talking about today, maybe. Like
Yep.
not script out what we're saying, but like okay, our topic today is beginning streaming tips or something, and then like maybe have some sort of like
Is that
mini
meant to
game
be
or
this stream,
something.
or is that the next stream?
Well, obviously we
Next
didn't plan it
stream,
this week,
beginning
so
streaming
next
tips.
week.
That's
um,
because our planning time was taken up by a video game. This
and
was
and
supposed to be
then and then we have our
next
specific
on the next
extra.
podcast. We can talk about how to become a streamer,
Well, I mean, we can.
and
Don't give us a schedule. We might talk about something else. It'll be a surprise.
sprinkled
Surprise
with
next
other things on top
episode.
of it. Yeah. Yeah.
But
There's
then
I, don't-
have
I
like those things we'll have consistent. But as far as like our content goes, like that's always like flexible. Hello.
ultimately, yeah, I don't really know the end goal for this. I just know that I've wanted to do a podcast for a long time, and the thought of doing it alone, I think, not necessarily daunting, but well, maybe a little bit, but it's just kind of I know that we already worked well together in our discussions and what we've done in the past.
I think it
Uh,
also
it just
helps
feels
to like yeah, both of us are very chatty people. Cerberus is here for his treat. Both of us are very
yummy.
chatty people naturally, but it's nice to have multiple perspectives on things and ways to bounce
Yeah,
ideas off of. And so even if we're guest hosting people, it's nice to have more opinions and things like that. And so I think that's kind of why we decided to do this together. And I'm really bad at staying on top of stuff, and so Shaky's like the office manager. So
she also doesn't like she doesn't like waiting for a raid message to go all the way through. You know when you
what do
hit
you
the raid
mean?
button at the end of the stream and you have to wait down for the timer. Tiz doesn't like that.
Why would you
You
wait if
don't
you
like
can
it at
hit
all.
start rate immediately?
Because it's nice to kind of I know that I've got like a 30-second summary. I want to say thank you to people. I want to
No,
say when
you
they can
say
see
that
me next
first
time.
so that you don't have to feel
No.
stressed. You otherwise then
No,
you're stressed and
because
you're
I
trying to
don't like
rush your
pushing the button on
extra.
people. I don't like pushing the button on people.
But you get to choose. There are some things we disagree on, but it's
Yeah, there are.
but that's part of what makes it work.
Yeah,
So
I think so.
I don't know. Do you have anything? I feel like this was probably a good length first episode, I suppose. If we have
I
anything that
think
we want
so.
to like wrap up with, or anything that we want to intro for next time,
No,
but I
I don't think
guess
so. I mean, we're gonna get the. We don't know really how. I mean, we need to figure out how often we're gonna get these videos out.
yeah, how often we're gonna get them
When the
out and how
time
long they're gonna
permits.
be. I'm leaving to travel here soon, so we're gonna try to still figure out if we can do these while I'm on the road. Maybe we'll
Mhm.
even who knows, we might be able to run into each other and we can do our podcast in person at like at TwitchCon or something. We can have an
Yeah,
episode at the same place.
could be an idea. Yeah, we could do that.
For
But
anybody,
yeah,
Shaky is in the UK. I am in the US. So
I'm 7 hours ahead of
it
Tiz,
is
which makes
currently
things a bit
almost 2
difficult.
a.m. for him, so we probably should wrap it up.
2:40 a.m. actually.
Oh, well, see, all the more
20 to
reason. I am
3.
looking out for you in your non-existent sleep schedule.
I think whenever we can get this stuff out, then we will. It'll obviously all go through the YouTube channel.
Hmm.
But if whatever people do want to see, I think a lot of it will be probably a culmination initially of people from our communities, and hopefully it will grow from there, and we'll meet people that we haven't
Yeah.
bumped into before. But
Is
if
this
people like it, tell us what you want us to talk about, or if you've got any questions, we can have like a Q&A session at the end of the podcast. I was going to say stream. I'm so used to saying stream,
the
stream. At the
I was gonna say, is this the
podcast?
part where you do that whole like and comment and say what you want to hear next time?
Guys,
And
like and subscribe to the
subscribe.
UO podcast, the UOP. That's what I'm calling it.
No, we're not calling it that
Why?
because remember what it stands?
No.
The Unwind Online podcast.
UOP. Well, it says I searched UOP and it says the University of Portsmouth. That's nothing wrong
Oh,
with the
well, mine
University of
says
Portsmouth.
urinary output production or something. So
There's nothing on here that says that of mine.
mine
No.
100% does not say.
Mine is no supplier of technology, University of Plymouth, University of Plymouth, University of Plymouth. Other colleges, no. UOP. Well, what does UOP stand for? Universal
I
Oil Products. What is UOP in medical terms? Urine output. Okay, fine. So that's the second one. Yeah. The UO podcast. There we go. That's fine.
We just did Unwind Online.
It's quite a lot to say there, isn't it, really?
We can cut this part out.
It's the offline online podcast, but we could get in trouble if we use that one.
Well, no, it's not that we could get in trouble. We were thinking about the offline online, but there's already the offline TV, which is a bunch of streamers chatting. So we wanted to do something a little bit different.
Like what we have here, though. Nothing at all. Anyway, like and subscribe if you like the video. That's what we have to say.
Yeah, something like that. All right. Anything else or?
I don't think so. Obviously, most of our content, if you are new here, obviously most of our content comes through Twitch. Tis Fizzy or Shaky Jacob B. Just go to Twitch and search that.
Oh,
You'll be sorted.
Yeah.
I'm used to throwing my URLs out there. You were talking about.
I'm so bad at that.
League.
I am the most like cringy self promote. I'm like, if you want, I guess, hang out and somewhere. I don't know. I'm leaving.
Pub windows, and beer coasters.
What about those pub windows?
Well, yeah, I used to a couple of times when the pub windows have been frosted up. I would write my URL on the window in my finger, or I'd grab a pen and write it on a beer mat, put it there, or on an aeroplane. Did you hear the airplane?
An aeroplane.
An aeroplane. Flight to Canada. I was on an aisle seat. You obviously have the screens in front of you, which are pretty advanced these days. You can watch films, play games. There was an art program, like a MS Paint. Just wrote twitch.tv/ShakyJacoB and left it there the whole flight, so as people walk past, they could see that. There was another one as well. I can't remember what else I've done. I've written it down in a few places publicly.
I went to TwitchCon and was too nervous to even give my business cards out. So Nande ran around and gave my business cards out to people because I refused.
Do you have like, we'll come on to this in a separate podcast actually, because we've obviously got TwitchCon coming up this year. We're both going to Rotterdam, by the way. Actually, that's a good point. You can find us both at Rotterdam this year. Probably hanging out together at some point there.
Yeah, if I have to.
I'm also going to be in a talk, which I'm nervous about.
Talk.
Do you have were there little meetup rooms, like community meetup rooms? Because at Rotterdam, for instance, last year there was, on one of the days, there was just a UK community meetup, and they opened a separate kind of area, and everyone UK central or focused was there.
Yeah.
I suppose US.
What are you asking me?
It's quite a big country.
Do they
it's quite
do
a big
that?
country, though, isn't it? Do they? Well, yeah, because surely people were handing out business cards there to us.
Yeah. I mean, they do at both TwitchCons. They have a lot of different meetups. So they have like women in gaming meetup. They do like horror. Yeah, horror games. They do. I do stickers most of the time now, because then you're like, do you like my sticker? Here, do you want it? And then it has like your URL super tiny on there. Because I can't do the self promo stuff. But
okay.
Yeah, so they do that. They do a lot of like separate meetup rooms, but.
Okay.
I don't know how to end this well. I think maybe. Well, there's part of me where I'm like, do we just unedit this completely and just throw it up there, or do we actually have a consistent, your good extra?
Well, this is what they call the pilot, isn't it? Really, to any successful show, and it's always a little bit fuzzy, a little bit hazy, and a little bit kind of low production quality. This is also Tiz's way of saying, I don't want to edit the video. I just want to put it up there. That's the way her brain is working right now.
I will ask ChatGPT how we end it. It says we should
end the podcast in 2025.
It says we should recap. So today we talked about Shaky and Jakey.
Sorry, I forgot that I've got two personalities.
We talked about Shaky and Jakey's streaming journey, as well as mine, and how we got into streaming, and just kind of a little bit of our.
Did we cover that? We did a little bit. I suppose.
Yeah, we talked more about my whole life leading into streaming. Your starting streaming, as well as some
the views on
mindset.
Careers and I wish Twitch existed, and I wish I was younger. Effectively.
At some point we might stay on topic too. I tend to be a little bit I'm ADHD and a little bit all over the place. So the trying to keep things on track is not always something that works. So doing recaps is a little bit difficult, but we will have specific topic summaries at some point, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
It says make sure you have a call to action. So like if you enjoyed it, make sure to follow, subscribe. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, and then you're supposed to thank them. So,
plug the Twitch URLs.
Thank you everybody so much for listening and supporting.
It's really weird.
And for those
It's
of you
weird.
who...
It's weird not having a chat.
I know, right? You're like,
Because I keep going to look at the corner of this monitor to read what the chat's saying. Wow, this
Just
is
say
a bad
thank you,
stream. There's
Shaky.
no one has said anything for half an hour. Right, okay. Fantastic.
And then it says you can tease the next episode. So like next week we're diving in to this topic. It's fine. See, he doesn't listen to me anyway. It's
cereal.
fine. Whatever.
Go
And then you say until next time.
And moan.
This says stay cozy and curious, or whatever we want our little.
Stay frisky and fabulous. Stay sussy and superb.
Should that be it? You can do
stay
the
moist
until next
marvelous.
time.
Until
stay
next time,
something
you
and something, and you can make that up.
Jalapenos. Is that good?
Yeah.
That's the end of it.
Sure. Yep. That's a wrap. Bye.
See ya.